Hello, Internet. My name is Roro, and welcome to my channel. I hope everyone's having a good day. Today, I wanted to talk about something inspired by a conversation I had with one of my good friends and his girlfriend the other day. And it really got me thinking because me and him have very different perspectives on this topic, and I thought it'd be worth addressing in a video. So, essentially, what I want to talk about in this video is the concept of living paycheck to paycheck, essentially, not being able to save your money and always having just enough to cover all your bills and your basic needs, but also still being able to do that, not being completely broke, living in the red. So let's get into it. So, yeah, basically, like I said, what inspired me to want to make this video is a conversation I had with one of my best friends and his girlfriend. I've known this friend for pretty much my whole life. He is one of my closest friends, someone I essentially consider family. And his girlfriend is great, but he hasn't been with her that long, so I don't know her as well, and she doesn't know my history and my past as well as he does. So, yeah, what we were talking about initially was when I first moved to New York City in 2016. I was living there for a while. Um, and when I moved there, I was very broke. I didn't have money really. I was able to pay my rent. I was able to pay my bills. Luckily, because my partner had a better job than me and she was covering a lot of stuff, which was very great. I was very grateful for that because if that wasn't the case, we would have been in much more dire straits. And I'm also very lucky that my parents were able to help me when they could. My parents aren't rich. They never were able to just flat out pay my rent. I never even needed that, luckily. I would never let that happen to the best of my ability. But, every once in a while, I would need maybe like $40 for food or $100 for my subway card so that I can get to and from work. And I was lucky enough that, every so often they were able to help me with that. And I know that that's not the case for a lot of people. So yeah, as time progressed, I got different jobs that paid a bit better. I moved into different apartments that were a little bit better. And then I ultimately moved to the other side of the country, and now I live on the West Coast. And I guess from an outside perspective, my friend thought that I was making more money than I am, because he was telling his girlfriend, he was like, "Yeah, when he used to live in New York, it was really rough. He was living paycheck to paycheck." And I immediately stopped him. I was like, "Whoa, I'm still living paycheck to paycheck." Like, this is 6 years later and I'm still living paycheck to paycheck. And my friend has had hard times as well. He still lives at home with his parents. He's never had to pay his own bills or anything like that, but he has other issues that I don't have to deal with. And he also has a job that makes over six figures a year. I only make $55,000 a year before taxes. And I feel like I'm doing pretty well, but I'm still living paycheck to paycheck. You know, if I really wanted to, I could be smarter with my money and I could put more money away and save some money, but it wouldn't be a monumental amount very quickly, and it would take a very long time for me to save my money. And I live a relatively bohemian lifestyle. Like, I'm pretty hedonistic. I like to order food. I don't do it all the time. Me and my partner, we do eat food at home a lot, but a couple times a week we like to order food, and that can be expensive. Every once in a while, I like to, buy a new video game or buy some sneakers or, like a new pair of pants, a new shirt, new hat, something like that. Like, every so often I'll do that and I'll indulge myself in that way. But aside from that, all my money goes to my rent, my utilities, my bills, my insurance, like that stuff adds up. And I don't even have a car. I don't have to pay for gas. I don't have to pay for car insurance or maintenance or any of that stuff. And I still don't have dispensable income, really, disposable income to just like throw away on expensive random shit or to save. But I don't have to go to the Chinese food store and get $1 egg rolls every day for dinner, Like that's the biggest difference is the scope of living paycheck to paycheck. And that's the thing is there's this whole narrative of like, oh, millennials need to stop, with their avocado toast and their Starbucks and they'd be able to afford a house or some shit like that. And it's like, obviously, that is not the case. Starbucks coffee, let's say it's $7 a day. So that's, $50 a week, $200 a month. That's a good amount of money. Don't get me wrong, that's a good amount of money. But that's not going to pay for you to get a house. That's not going to pay for you to get a car. That's not going to pay for you to get things that are substantial and what used to be seen as basic stuff that everybody eventually has. It's more and more common for people that are younger to not be able to get a house and not be able to own a house. And I think there are benefits to renting that you don't get from owning a house. And at the end of the day, you don't actually own a house unless you're paying for it fully upfront. You're renting from the bank instead of a landlord. But that could be a whole other video. But the biggest thing that I got from this conversation with my friend is, yeah, he's making a lot of money now. And he works his ass off. And he also hates his job. But he's making a ton of money, basically twice as much as I'm making, if not more. And it's really interesting to me how quickly he lost perspective because of how much money he has. Because he did not grow up rich. He grew up middle class just like me. You know? He did not come from a place of money. But now he has money. He makes more than my parents do. You know? So it's like, it really blew my mind how quickly money changed him. And this is no disrespect to him in any way. Luckily, no one that I know in real life even knows about this channel, so he's not going to hear this. And these are things that I would say to his face anyway, and I have said to him in some regard, you know? But it's just very interesting to me how $100,000 a year is not even that much money relative to the amount of money that a lot of people have. So it doesn't take much for money to control somebody. And power comes from money. Money and power are directly connected. So when you have money, you feel like you have power over people, over situations, when, that is unfortunately true a lot of the time. But it's just weird how I'm seeing it firsthand with somebody who's like my peer and didn't come from that background. It just really is like very weird to me. And another aspect of this is like, I want to feel like, I'm happy for him and I'm proud of him that he was able to, bring himself up, because he's been through a lot of shit in his life. And he was able to get himself to a place where he's making a lot of money and can do the things he wants to do. And in that regard, he's fulfilled. But I can't really even say that because he hates his job. He works way too much. He's pretty much dedicated his entire existence to this job just so that he can make that money. And that to me, it does not seem like a good thing. Like, I feel like my life is way better than his from my perspective because I have way more time to do things that I want to do. Even though I'm working 40 hours a week, he's working 60 hours a week a lot of the time, It's like, it's just a different situation completely. And what's even worse is most people make less money than I do. And people make less money than I do and they have entire families. So it's like, I'm sitting here saying I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Yeah. But there are so many people in so many worse situations than me. And that doesn't mean that, it doesn't take away from anything that anybody else is going through. But shit is crazy out here when it comes to wages and work and survival. And it doesn't need to be that way. But there's just so much greed from the top that's preventing so many people from living a realistic, comfortable life because of, a multitude of different reasons, which also that could be a whole other video. But yeah, this conversation just kind of gave me some perspective that I didn't know I needed in both ways, how well I'm doing, how not well I'm doing. And I just thought it was interesting and I thought it'd be worth sharing. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm curious to see what you guys think about this because I feel like this is a topic that could open up a lot of conversations. And, there's probably things that I'm missing that I'm not considering, especially because I just had this conversation yesterday. So it's fresh in my mind. I haven't had a lot of time to really let it marinate, but I really felt inspired to kind of talk about this and get it out. So I'm curious what you guys think. Feel free to leave any information or in the comments. And I put a new video out every Sunday. So if you like this one, you can come back next week for a new one. I don't know if you guys can hear the siren outside, but I live in a city. It happens all the time. But aside from that, like I said, you can come back next week for a new video, and that's about it. I'll see you guys next time.